Hello, and welcome to this video on dynamic folders in CollectionsIndex Web Edition. What are they and how can you use them? Remember to check out our tutorials on normal folders too, so you fully understand the difference between the two folder types, but today we will be focusing on dynamic folders. Dynamic folders are a way of saving and rerunning searches whenever you need to, and they can be set up for any record type. So I have object records in front of me now, but you can set them up and use them for any type of record. When you're looking at your lists of folders for a given record type, you can identify dynamic folders because they will appear in green, whereas normal folders will appear in black. Now I've got one set currently here, a dynamic folder, condition graded A. Note the number in brackets tells us how many records are part of that folder at the moment. And note that when we have a dynamic folder set up here, the control column changes, so we don't see the folder icon we normally see, and we can't manually add or remove items from this folder because that's not how dynamic folders are built. Instead, dynamic folders are built from search results, a very specific search result. So here's one I made earlier, condition graded A, and this has been made from an advanced search on the condition field where the term is A. So if I just retrieve this folder, we can see here are the 18 records in this folder, and all of them have the same condition. So if I just view one of these records, we can see that the condition term is A, and this is true of all the records in this folder. However, dynamic folders aren't just a static archived search results. They actually update themselves live based on how data may change or new records that may come into your system. So a good example of this would be if I were to find an object not currently within this dynamic folder. If I just do a quick blank search, let's maybe take this ceramic figure here. If I were to edit this figure, and find its condition field. And let's give it a condition rating of A as well. Now this now meets the criteria, the search criteria that our dynamic folder was built around. So if we now leave this page and go back, you can see condition graded A, the number of objects has jumped up to 19. And if we retrieve the folder, we can see that that bust is now part of our folder results, and we have a total of 19. So dynamic folders will update themselves. And this works the other way around too. So let's say that while we've upgraded the condition of this figure, maybe we want to downgrade the condition of this ceramic bust. Again, if we edit this record, and we're just going to scroll down again to its condition. I'll get the right field, there we go. And let's say this has been downgraded to a B. We're now going to save our change. Go back to our search results. And now already condition graded A has dropped back down to 18 records because there's no longer 19 records that are meeting the condition. So anytime you add new records to your system or edit records in your system, your dynamic folders will update themselves if there are any relevant changes that means things join or fall out of a folder. So a very useful tool indeed for a number of reasons, which we'll mention later. But let's now look at how we create a new dynamic folder. So effectively, we're going to start with a search. We need to create a search result to make a dynamic folder. So let's use object production person as an example. Let's set an advanced search, and we're going to say object production person is, and let's have a look through our person authorities. Search for Paul Scott in this case. We'll hit search, and we've got two objects we found with that production person. What I could now do is scroll down to the bottom, and you'll see one of your options below your search is create a dynamic folder from this result. So all you have to do is click on that, name your folder, it's usually useful to name it something sensible that you'll recognize. And I've now created that dynamic folder. And if I go to my list, you can see now that is appearing as an option. And of course, we can retrieve that as usual. This isn't actually going to change the results because it's going to be the same as we were just looking at. But there we go, we have a new dynamic folder. And should we add new objects to our collection, also made by Paul Scott, they would automatically appear in this folder that can be retrieved easily at any time. Now, I wanted to briefly hop over to the folders management page just to show you how dynamic folders will appear here once you've created them. Note that if you select a dynamic folder from your list, you can view that folder. So here's the condition one we looked at earlier. You can view your folder. You can edit information about it. You can give it a little note. You can delete the folder. Note you can't make dynamic folders public. So they just work for you. You can view all items, but you can't remove items. And again, you can't individually select items down here to kind of individually remove them, that sort of thing. Because again, that's not how dynamic folders work. Effectively, they're built around that search result and they're kind of locked in at that point. But you can access your dynamic folders in this management window to review their contents and delete them, edit their information, that sort of thing. So there are lots of different applications for dynamic folders because they can be built for any record type and they can be built on any conceivable search. However, here's a few examples that I've been making as part of putting together this tutorial video. We've already talked about condition graded A, so dynamic folders pulling together groups of records or using the same condition term. That can be quite useful. What else have we got in this list? Here's one I was making. This is available for web, not set. So this is built around the search results that available for website is not yes or no. It's not been filled in. It's effectively blank. And so this is a bit of to-do list for someone to go through and say, we should mark these records as either yes or no, so we have a definitive answer on whether or not these records should be shared or not. I've also used filters here to create a donated and purchased dynamic folder. So this is using filters to pull in data from our activities associated with objects. And so this is kind of a live updating list of any objects that have been donated or any objects that have been purchased. And then finally, this is a really useful one for any type of record if you've just gone through a big data migration and you may have a few validation errors in your data. In this case, the search built for this folder was basically validation errors aren't empty. So any validation error will make the record appear in this folder, and then you have a nice to-do list of records that you can work through and hopefully help to satisfy those errors and remove them. That's of course just the tip of the iceberg, but I hope you enjoy having an experiment with dynamic folders and putting them to good use on your system. Well, that's all for today. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.